Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Lettermen Lounge. It's a Monday in Columbus, Ohio. This is Lettermen Live. It is brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint, which is getting ramped up for Sunday and the Super Bowl. That's Justin Zwick, Nicole Cox, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. And Jay-Z's playing hurt down there. He's not in Pro Bowl form.
Yoga.
Firm just told us that he can't hear out of his left ear.
I just can't hear.
I don't know.
That story is
this offseason is
much
getting
crazier.
wild.
I just can't hear all the way out of it. So I just need both ears to be working. I mean, he had a yoga incident, for God's sakes.
Well, that was more recent
I missed
than yours.
that story.
Well, it just happened.
It wasn't even shoveling snow.
It wasn't even shoveling snow, just trying to do a headstand. And, big tree fall hard wrong way onto a 20-pound dumbbell in the middle of my back.
Did you do it in the class?
Why was the dumbbell in the yoga room?
Why was he
Well,
doing
because it's my workout room, and so I was
we have
doing
a lot of questions.
I was
right?
doing I had the option of doing a dolphin, which is
Yep.
like this, right, with your feet on the ground, and you kind of go back and forth. And they said, "Oh, if you want to test yourself, try and go up in the air." Well, I was at the top of my mat.
Who they?
challenged?
Who is that?
Peloton app.
That's the problem.
Did they ask you if there was a 20-pound dumbbell with
Well,
your
I did.
immediate
I thought
fall
I'd be able to do a headstand. I didn't think I'd fall over. Luckily, I did not break the mirror.
You did a headstand, though. I don't. Is this a
It's
common?
probably within the year.
Okay.
I do yoga once a week or once or
Sixth
twice a
grade
week.
gym
So,
class.
I think that
I try to get
headstands should
into
be
it.
like driver's license for people over 75. You should get tested about every 6 months.
Right.
Okay?
It's not bad.
You want 75-years-olds doing it?
No.
No, like they should have to get they should have to retest
shouldn't-
their driver's license.
But they
every
shouldn't be
six-
allowed to do it anyway.
Well, hey. I'm not
Hey,
saying
now.
that. I'm not saying
Ageism.
that.
I'm saying
Bill's Zwick's
headstand,
coming
not
up on
driving.
75. He can still drive.
I didn't say driving. I'm talking about a headstand.
Oh, I don't want them doing headstands. I'm saying for
Yeah, don't-
people who are
don't
trying
hurt
to do a headstand, if you are inclined to do a headstand, you should have to be tested upon it regularly.
Spotter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
That
what
would
I
help.
needed, a spotter.
Don't you have kids for that?
What you need to do is get rid of the Peloton app because I don't need to pay somebody to yell at me through a screen.
Well, it just gives you a lot of different workouts to do, and
Bobby, don't be judgmental.
I'll
It
send
is
them
the
all
greatest.
video.
Listen, I try and follow your workouts, but
Aren't
I
we
just
yelling
can't.
at
Yeah.
people through a screen now?
No, I said my wife. She wanted. I'll yell at you for free. And well, honestly,
wow.
I'll feel better about it. If you want me to yell at you while you're working, I'll tell your inadequacies and
Nope.
just drive them in there.
Folks, what
That is
Bob
not what the
means-
Peloton app does.
It's
It pumps you up.
It's some
it
D-bag.
inspires
It's some
you. It tells you
D-bag
you're
on a
amazing.
bike yelling at you.
I don't need them telling
Nope.
me I'm amazing. It's just nice to not have to plan a workout.
I
Hey, I'm
enjoy
going
it.
to do this one. And
What Bob
it's
means,
just a strength.
What Bob means
Yeah.
is
It
that
is.
he
For
will
the most part.
loudly encourage his wife, not yell at his wife.
Well, that's what all these. Like, I don't need the. And I don't need the encouragement.
Maybe.
we're not so
All
sure
right.
about that.
Okay.
I don't have Affinity Whole Health telling me what to do, so I need something else to help me with
I know.
my workouts,
I like
Bob.
it to be planned out. I like
You know,
to just
that's
be
all it
told
is.
what to do when it comes to
Yeah, it's
working out.
a little easier that way.
I look at myself in the mirror when I get out of the shower and I'm like, okay, here's what we need to work on. This is what we need to do. And some people don't care about that. If that's fine, like it's all good. But that's
You
like
have your piece of pizza.
that's the accountability partner
Some
of
people-
me.
In the
It's the
door,
mirror.
you have your piece of pizza. The door's locked, and you're going.
How,
But still,
Bob, how difficult do mozzarella sticks make your workout?
no, I'll eat some. I mean, it's just you got to realize like you got to pay the piper. man.
Gotta
Like,
pay 'em.
It's like spending on a credit card. You know, we run up massive debt, personal debt, because we just want to buy. But eventually, you got to pay for that at some point in time. Like
Yep.
eventually, during COVID, when it finds the people who have inadequate respiratory systems because of due to long periods of inactivity, well,
We're touching
it's gonna get right in there
Yeah,
and
it
get
will.
you.
That'll
You know
get
what?
you, no
You know
doubt.
what, Bob? Just charge it to cheesing.
Oh, I'll charge it all to cheese, Coach. We're gonna get a great spread from Roosters for the Super Bowl. I'm pumped.
Tell me about it. How can
so
we do
nice.
that on Sunday?
Okay, so
Do we
guys,
have the
this-
details finalized?
We have the details. I told him I was
Let's
like,
make 'em
hey,
up.
yeah. So, well, I didn't want to say the wrong details. So,
important.
the early bird special, which we do every year, we did end up keeping it the same. And the only reason we were considering not is just because of wing prices, how high they are right now. So, but the early bird special is from if you order a carryout and schedule it to be picked up between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., you get 20% off
Ooh,
your entire
nice.
order. So, and that
Oh,
we
baby.
do that because it helps our kitchen so that we don't have 1 million orders, at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we just can't handle it. We actually have a notebook up front, and we put in orders in time slots.
Yeah, slow the
just
curve.
To make sure, yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Bob and Jay-Z like to get it early and they just keep it in the oven until
Yeah.
You can.
100%.
Yeah.
The best,
Perfect.
like Roosters, is one
Stuff
of the
reheats
most reheatable and
amazingly, yeah.
reeatable foods you will find.
Oh, all the time.
Very
Every
versatile.
week I do it.
Like it is good when you eat it, when it's freshly prepared, and then it's just as good if you have to reheat it or eat it later, even when if it's just been sitting out, like it's fantastic. I love it.
It's good at any time of day.
Only for 4 hours.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I was just going to say
No.
only for 4 hours. That's the
enough.
max it can sit out at room
As
temperature.
as per the health people that have to tell you that. I've eaten roosters that's been out for at least 2 days before.
If you're
No,
I wouldn't do that.
If
I
you're
wouldn't do
ServSafe
that. We do
certified,
not
you know
recommend
it's
that.
4
Yeah.
hours.
I'm good.
Or reheat it to 165 degrees for 15
Yes.
seconds, Bob.
Nicole, have you decided
We're
where you're
touching on
going
all
to
topics.
watch the Bengals on Sunday?
I haven't. We have been so busy. We're getting ready for the Buckeye cruise. We leave next week.
Oh, yeah.
So
What?
yeah, great weather. I can't wait for it. But
My invitation, Burn, was yours lost?
I was going to ask if you guys were coming.
Yeah, we just
I feel like last year we were trying to get you on there.
excluded yet again, but we'll survive.
I don't like
Sunday.
cruises anymore.
Well, you don't like to fly.
You like to fly, you like boats.
You probably
Outside,
don't like the sun.
outside
like
of,
the sun.
Oh, you
outside
do
of
like
tra-
I don't like this
Yeah.
because this doesn't go that well.
You like trains? What type of transportation is Burma approved?
I'd like to drive.
Car?
Yeah.
Train? Not a train, though?
Never been on a train.
Berm, you should sit next
Never
to
been
me
on
on
a
a
train.
plane. I hate
Oh,
flying, and I'm
No way.
I'm great at it
The
now.
nervous energy coming out of that row would be too much.
That anxiety row. I mean, if we want to talk stories that are crazy stories about plane travel, I'll tell you guys one afterwards. It was not good for my seat neighbors.
What a tease.
It's a tease of all teases.
It involved a minor flu, a Frosty from Wendy's, and a red Gatorade.
And a,
Oh,
and
And a
fart,
Gatorade.
and a fart that you shouldn't have trusted.
I don't think that anyone should ever combine Gatorade and Frosties in any situation.
I didn't know I was combining them. The problem was you weren't not really digesting at the time. You know, it was really early in the morning. You traveled
Ooh.
away. It was bad for those people.
So it was just
I'll
In the
tease
m-
it this way. I ended up getting off the plane wearing a different shirt than I wore on.
You know, what's great about February and covering Ohio State football and Letterman Live is that the show goes immediately off the air.
But here's the,
we all been cooped up in the
That's me.
house because of the ice storm that
That's
came
right.
through. You know,
We got a lot of things to talk about.
we could go off the rails but still staying on the rails by just talking about a program that is fully off the rails.
We're going to do that, Bob. We're
Okay,
gonna,
I just want to make
that's
sure.
going to be the entire second half of the show
All right.
once Nicole is out of here.
When do we get into Auburn then too? I mean,
Well,
we get into
we don't
that.
have time for Auburn's shenanigans because Michigan's going to take up a lot of it. What do you think?
Who's got it better than them?
Well, seems like a lot of people. But anyway, the Super Bowl
Yes.
is on Sunday, and Nicole has predictions that are always correct. What is going to happen on Sunday at 6:30?
What's the total?
Spencer, what's the total? Give it to us while Nicole tells us what's going to happen. I
I
believe the Rams are currently favored by 3.5.
It was 4. It's ticked down then. Nice.
that sounds about right. I feel like it's going to be a close game. Like, I just feel like it's going to be a close game, but I also don't know if I can give. I just feel like the Bengals are going to win because I'm from Ohio and the love and support of everybody and the excitement. I just feel like, but then again, the Rams are playing in LA.
the home
And
stadium.
they're going to have all of their
Second year in a
fans
row.
there. So that could be like another Utah, Ohio State
all of their
situation.
All
fans.
15
All of
of
their
them
fans.
will be
I know.
there.
Yeah. Do we know how many Bengals fans are traveling?
It's sort of like a bowl game where there's an allotment that the teams get, but it's very small because so much of the stadium is
Corporate.
designated to corporate entities and sponsors, and it's a very sterile environment. You don't get a lot of, like, the Rams aren't going to have a home field advantage.
They never have had a home field advantage.
Yeah, they never have. But
This will be very similar to their games.
Yeah.
they do
regular season.
they do get to stay in their normal practice facility. They are going to be in their same locker room. That was up for
Right, they don't have to travel.
up
The
for
guys get to
grabs.
be home.
They get to stay in their beds. They're not going to be, like the NFL gave up the hotel that was reserved for the NFC team because the Rams don't need it. So those things are helpful for them during the week. And Tampa Bay had those a year ago. But once you get into the actual stadium on Sunday, that it's not like it's going to be a hostile environment for the Bengals, or it shouldn't be. But we'll see.
I learn something new every day on this show, guys. I love it.
So are you predicting
So we're
the
here
Rams
for
are going to win the Super Bowl?
I think the
Looking
Bengals.
dead in the eyes. And telling
Yes.
us. There you go.
There it is.
I really
Heard it
do.
here. Heard it here.
For a Super Bowl championship.
What was the total that Spencer gave us?
48.5.
48.5. Oh,
Which sounds about, that's pretty low if you think for
That's
these
low.
two offenses.
That's
I'd
going
go
over
under.
for sure.
I think it's like 23.
You look historically, though, they're usually low scoring because people don't want to lose the game in the first half. And so you remember, like, Rams Pats, it was, 10 to 3? I mean, like, I enjoyed it. I thought that was good. A lot of people want the scoring, but 27-24. I mean, that's the over, but that sounds about right for this. Probably low scoring and then probably a handful of touchdowns in the second half.
I say 28-21.
Oh, full touchdong.
Love
Feeling good.
So Bengals, what do you?
I'll go with Cincinnati. Like, the more I look at it, it's as long as Von Miller and
Well,
Aaron
Donald gets sick.
Putting a pretty big if there,
Get
right?
sick and
well,
don't play.
I say if. I mean, like, if there's like 9 sacks, I don't think they can overcome the Tennessee sack number. Like, if we'll say over under, if they can hit under 3.5 sacks, Bengals win the game. You start pressing over that, and that's going to be real tough to make up those negative yardage plays.
Jay-Z, what do you cooking up?
I mean, I want the Bengals to win. You know, being from Ohio, I like Joe. A lot of Buckeyes on the team. I don't. It's hard. I want to say they're not going to because they had 9 sacks and won the game. They've come back, you know, from being down, and it's like the magical season almost for them. But you got Von Miller and Aaron Donald on that defensive line. I just think they're going to create havoc. I think their offense is better than Tennessee's. I think they're going to put up points. I don't think Tennessee's all that great, especially at the quarterback position. So those 9 sacks, they didn't take advantage of them the way the Rams, I think, will. So I'm going Bengals.
All that?
Just because.
Team of Destiny.
Yeah, team of destiny.
In football, like at some point, you think that the magic juice runs out. You know, like just
Magic juice.
You just assume at some point that
You'd think.
miracle thing is going to be over. And if you look at the last couple weeks, the way the Bengals have won against the Titans and against the Chiefs, it sort of felt miracle-y. But then I think back to 2014 in Ohio State, and that felt miracle-y, and it didn't run out. So why does it have to? So I think my heart is telling me the Bengals are going to find a way to win this game. My head is a Bengals fan and knows that they're going to find a way to lose this game.
To lose this game.
But again, I think Bob's on the right track. Like if Burrow stays relatively clean, and by relatively I mean not getting sacked 12 times like he did against Tennessee, because there was really 11 times in that game, except for a couple penalties. So I mean, I think that it's probably a 23-20, 24-21 type game. And you know, in my life, I've watched the Bengals in 2 Super Bowls. They were both heartbreaking losses. First, when I was 4 years old, I don't really remember a whole bunch, except for it was kind of one of my first sports memories. But I could see a game going out of the left.
This time you have Joe at your quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Oh, cool.
And you got a good kicker and a good punter. Special teams are always important in games like that. Close ones. Yeah, they are.
What's the most important play, Jay-Z?
Not what you are trying to get.
I just think it's interesting because Matthew Stafford's been really good at times for the Rams this year, but he's also been
Matthew Stafford.
He's also played like Detroit Lions Matthew Stafford a couple times, and so you just don't know which guy's going to show up.
I mean, if that dude catches the ball in the second half last week,
right,
or 2 weeks ago.
Clearly, they have talent on that team. They have gone out and found Odell Beckham and Von Miller and all these guys that they've brought into this program. Jalen Ramsey starting a year ago. Like, they've built this team to win the Super Bowl. The Bengals this year's team is not built to win the Super Bowl. So it is an upset if the Bengals win, but I think they can win.
I think what's most interesting about all that, when you say it's going to be an upset, of course. I mean, the Rams are favored again, but if you look at the last couple of weeks in those matchups, those seem to me to be decidedly worse for the Bengals. You know, the Titans and that defense, and until for some reason Vrabel's brain just melted down 4 or 5 times in that game and really handed opportunities to the Bengals that they probably didn't deserve. And then Mahomes having the same sort of issue with just getting the ball out of his hands last week in the second half. Those teams made errors, and the Bengals obviously took advantage of them. But those were much more difficult matchups for Cincinnati in my mind than the Rams may be. And that we could look Sunday at 6:30 and be like, wow, that was crazy because of Aaron Donald and Von Miller going against Isaiah Prince. Maybe we should have all seen that coming. But the things that you're saying, Jay-Z, are accurate about the team of destiny thing. So that sometimes you can't fight that. And Burrow is playing with more confidence than anyone in the league right now.
What does he wear into the stadium?
He's got to have something good.
I think he should just go back to like early recruiting days and wear some of his Space Jam stuff.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, does he dress like Bob Ross? I feel like it's starting to turn into like a Halloween costume theme where
Well, it's turning into like a what is he going to wear?
Yes.
You know, like he's doing this on.
get like an orange wig, like dress like Bob Ross, have an easel over your shoulder.
People think
Gonna
that
paint a
this is-
masterpiece.
Paint a masterpiece.
People
today.
think this is a kid who's like got money in his board, but this has always been Joe's way. I mean, he showed up at check-in day at Ohio State always wearing like a Space Wolf T-shirt.
Space Wolf.
Like, I mean, he's always worn like crazy things. It's just the way he's always been. I think it's actually great that it's not changing him. It's just giving him a broader platform to show people.
Dude, he grew up in southeastern Ohio. You've been to
Fashion
Athens County?
capital of the world.
You've been to Meigs County, Morgan County.
Known for fashion.
Yeah, 100% it is.
Allie immediately bought that shirt of like the Campbell's soup painting. Who created that one back in the day? The pop culture one. Anyway,
Andy
Warhol.
Warhol. That's what I was going.
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, that's the one. No, with the glasses and the look from 3 weeks ago, the post game look, and Cincinnati was selling those T-shirts.
Warhol was the 4.
Yeah, but they made it like
Buck.
6 or 8.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the style. Anyway,
We're way
it's
off.
crazy how like how much he's gone. The brand of Joe Burrow has exploded.
Yeah.
But he's not really changed, as Burn was saying, to what he was on. We talked about him a lot last week. We don't have to keep doing that, but he reminded
Good
me.
story.
Devin Brown last week reminded me a lot of Joe Burrow with the swagger that he brought, and I think it's important because when
Call
I
it
say
that Mormon swag.
well, I don't, whatever it is, he's got that
He's not
confidence.
Mormon.
He's not?
He's got the.
He's from Phoenix.
Phoenix, and he was.
There's a lot of Mormons in Phoenix.
Yeah, but I don't think he's Mormon. But I didn't ask, so I guess maybe I
It
got it wrong.
You said he was not definitively, as
No,
if you were
because I don't-
absolutely certain.
Well, now I'm thinking about it. I mean, I guess I don't know, but he only
He is close with Jermaine.
was playing high school football in Utah because he.
But there's a lot of Mormons in
That's true.
Phoenix.
That's true. Certainly. Was
I'm
Joe
glad-
Jermaine Mormon?
Yes.
I
Is.
I didn't know that.
He's still alive and still Mormon, so.
I mean, I guess I didn't know that. We're really
Neither did I.
we're hitting all the topics.
Glad we
He
got
went on
into
the
what
Buckeye
really
cruise. I tried to
matters.
I tried to pressure him into having a drink.
Didn't work out.
It did not work out. He stood strong.
Resolute. Joe.
Yes.
How is that germane to this conversation?
I've really got this show under control this week.
This is the episode where people are like, "Let's talk about Ohio State football, guys."
We just covered Joe Jermaine, Joe
Burrow.
all the famous Joes.
The Bengals have 4 or 5 guys on the team.
Yeah, I was going to talk about, the introductory press conferences last week with 4 new coaches introduced, Ryan Day giving a press conference, and 11 early enrollees and transfer portal additions that we got to meet for the first time. But religion seems like a great way to go, too. I was just going to see if anyone stood out to you guys, because I mentioned Brown and some of the Burrow vibes, what you heard last week that you may have liked.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, everyone, the offense on defense thing where he gets like ultra aggressive, and I like that. I think one of the most salient points that he made is understanding the gravity of the situation where you're at and reading the room, because every situation is different. It's like people are like, the Super Bowl is just another game. It's not. You can say you can try to treat it like that, but dude, there's no halftime show. Like, you don't have media nonsense going on Tuesday. I mean, it's not the same. Like, so you can prepare and go through your same routine, but things are going to be altered, and there's obviously a lot of stuff around it. So you have to understand that. And the fact that Jim Knowles was like, I had 4 years at Oklahoma State. I don't have 4 years here. Like, being completely honest and understand. Really, you probably don't even. You might have 4 games, because when I started the big, really probably 1 game, because I don't think they're going to enjoy it if Notre Dame hangs 42 on you.
4 games was about how long it took before people were saying, I don't know if Kerry Combs can do this. That's the pressure that's here, Nicole. So I think Jim Knowles was saying that he sees all the pieces for that defense to get things fixed in a hurry, knows that this team is expected to win every game. And I think that's sort of what I was talking about last week with how do these guys handle the press conference and the attention. Are you going to run from that or embrace it? And Jim Knowles seemed to understand what he's facing here.
Which is great. I'm anxious to see with all these changes just what they're going to look like, And have we found out, has Kerry Combs gone anywhere?
Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Landed.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Got a spot.
Good.
Kind of
We're
a
happy.
trade with Perry Eliano.
Yeah, happy for him. It seems like a kind of 1-for-1 type deal. Send him back down. It's where he was coaching high school. He probably feels pretty comfortable down in that area. So landed well. I liked, and I don't even know if I didn't see the actual clip, but I feel like I read the offensive line coach talking about, we're going to have an offensive line that we're going to run the ball when it's 3rd and 2. They know it. Everybody in the stadium knows it. I don't give a, we're going to run it. I like that kind of attitude.
Yes.
So, to come and as a quarterback, I don't want to run too much, But on those 3rd and 2s, you want to know you're going to get that first down. So I like that attitude, and that's what you got to kind of play up when you're coming into a new spot like that. And I think he'll have a good plan. But I think we always talk, it starts in the trenches, and if you can have an offensive line, take the Monstars and turn them into something, that would be great. Because last year I don't feel like we had that, especially in big moments when we needed to pick up a first down or get that 1 yard. So I like having an offensive line guy who's seems a little bit younger, having a little bit of an attitude to him, and wants his crew to be strong and something that we lean on, which I think is huge. Yeah. And I think Ryan likes that a lot too, having that offensive line he can trust.
Well, we talked about it last week. Like Jeff Hafley, when he started that introductory press conference in 2019, we knew at that point that his life as an assistant coach at Ohio State was not going to be very long because he was going to move on and up quickly. And I think kind of got the same feel out of Justin Fry last week. Like, this guy's kind of on a rocket ship, and he's going to
enjoy it while he's here kind of thing.
He's going to change the culture of the offensive line a little bit. Maybe you get a little nastier, but that's a guy who has, like, big-time.
Saying, like, don't be sad because he left you. Be happy because you had him.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going with. But I think it's
sometimes the best relationships burn out the fastest, Bob.
Hey.
That's the way it goes.
Josh Gaddis.
It did.
Hey, we're not
no
talking
spoilers.
about
we're going to get
Mike
to that.
McDonald.
So anyway, the point I was making is in February, everyone loves everyone. None of these coaches
Because you can't lose the game until September.
None of these coaches have actually coached any of these players yet. So they, Jim Knowles can say, I see all the pieces on the defense to know we can do this, but he's never coached any of
But
them.
can you put the puzzle together?
They've never, played for him. They don't know what his style is going to be. They've had, brief interaction. Tanner McAllister has. So you've had brief interactions in a hallway and passed on information from Coach Mick to Knowles. Hey, this guy's doing this, but they don't really know each other yet. And I think it's all just part of that learning process and figuring out how do you get from that conversation a week ago to 4 weeks from now when spring ball starts and turn it into something that is productive. And I, Bob's point is they want to play offense and defense. That's the thing. Last year, the last 2 years, this defense was extremely conservative, on their heels all the time, reacting, not proacting. And that has to change.
Proacting.
Interesting.
I like when they're proactive.
We can compare and contrast what that week was like for Ohio State compared to what Michigan went through. We're going to do that after we take a break because Nicole has to get out of here. Tomorrow is mozzarella sticks for Appetizer Tuesday.
Yes.
It'll be $2 if we leave any here at the location on Olentangy. And the deal again on Sunday, early bird special.
11 a.m. to 3 p.m. if you place a carryout order to pick up for Super Bowl Sunday, 20% off.
20%, that's big time.
That's huge.
It is.
So don't miss that opportunity and get yourself ready. Be the hit.
Can I exchange the 20% for chips?
Oh, there you go, Bob. Now you're on to something. Now you're thinking.
That was
The answer is no.
That was the hardest eye roll I've ever seen on this show.
Oh, I miss them so much too. I do.
She hates it when we bring up the chips.
Oh, because I want them back so badly too.
I can't wait
No.
for the day that I can announce the Appetizer Tuesday.
Oh, it's chips.
Great day.
Well, we'll all be dreaming of that. But until then, the mozzarella sticks are pretty elite as well. So
No
grab
doubt.
those. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back here on Letterman Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint. But the truth is, it is so much more. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. It's a place where you will always find a friendly face. And the home of wings so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. So yeah, we're a lot of things to a lot of people. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Precision engineering. Rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
For the dealer nearest you, visit Bryant.com.
All right, welcome back into the Letterman Lounge. This is Letterman Live. It is brought to you by Roosters. And nice little gift from the content gods last week.
Man, what a week.
Jim Harbaugh thinks that he's got the Minnesota Vikings job. I'm going to skip National Signing Day. I'm going to swoop into Minneapolis. I'm going to tell everyone I'm going. Hey, guys, I'm coming in for this interview, and I'm super stoked to get this job. I don't even care about my old place. I'm ready to go.
Take the week off and do what's best
Hey,
for yourselves.
assistants. So Ohio State is here, just to put it in contrast, because it's a rivalry, you have to.
Because we cover Ohio State at Lettermen Row.
Ryan Day, here are 4 new coaches. And it's because, partially, of what happened in November. Championship goals came up short. Got to address the defense, what happened there, offensive line. That's all tied together. Making the changes, being aggressive. Those guys are here. Let's introduce them. And because it's National Signing Day, we got 11 new players. They're going to talk about their experiences. All of that's happening on the same day that Jim Harbaugh is making a huge show of his interview where he's going to be coronated in his return to the NFL. Hey, Josh Gaddis, Mike Hart, McDonald, you're already gone. Don't worry about it. You're on vacation already, or you're getting the rest of your buyout, whatever. I don't know. You guys just cool out. Not even going to have a staff party on Wednesday for the end of the recruiting cycle. Celebrate, get ready for 23. You guys just take a little vacation. Standard time of year. And by the way, I'm not coming back.
Somebody went to South Beach and on vacation.
I'm going to Minnesota, baby. Hope you guys are okay. Find a new job in the middle of February. And then what happened, Bob?
Well, then he didn't get that job.
Oh.
He thought he was confused
Plot
because
twist.
he thought the second interview was really more of just like an employee onboarding process.
Because he had worked with that guy before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he thought, yeah, my God.
He had worked with him at San Fran. And so he thought it was an employee onboarding, like, come on in, sign the documents.
Yeah.
HR needs to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're
Gotta get you your key card to get into the building.
you're not going to be allowed when we have free agents come in to go sleep on the floor of their hotel room.
Can't wear cleats in the building.
No cleats in the building. Got to keep a shirt on.
In Minnesota, they have to be snowshoes anyway.
Exactly.
Fair.
And I thought, honestly, I wrote my piece for Outkick last week. I'm like, this is the last thing I'm writing about Jim Harbaugh. He's here. It's done. I'm not worried about him. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, they're like, did you hear about Gaddis? Someone at a wrestling meeting, like, what are you talking about? Like, he's leaving Michigan. I'm like, hold on. Like, did you see his text? I'm like, oh, gosh. Let's dive on into this guy. Like, oh, Josh Gaddis. I was like, where's he going? They're like, Miami? I'm like, the Dolphins? Like, no, University of Miami. I'm like, head coach. Like, they just hired Cristobal. And, I mean, there was a million things. Head coach at Dolphins, OC at Dolphins.
Nope, 0 for 2.
Oh, and then I'm
Just an offensive coach at the Dolphins.
they just hired Cristobal, so it couldn't be you. Oh, I'm going there. I'm like, someone's like, that's like a lateral move. I'm like, lateral position wise, but step down as far as
Massive.
Yes.
facilities, program, expectation, dollars. Now they have spent a lot of money now, but still, the ACC is running a $20 million per team deficit to the Big Ten and SEC on TV deal revenue.
Yep.
That's now.
Which is about to get worse.
It's only going to get larger. That's the smallest it's going to be. And so that's where they're at. And I'm like, so you can only overcome that for so long and raise money in other ways. I'm like, so he's going down here. I'm like, he's making $900. Did Michigan just not want to pay him? And then I'm like, well, let me just read. Let's read what he said. Can't live in a place where you're not respected, disrespect. Like I don't think he uses the term disrespect, just not respected.
Not respected.
And I'm like, so is it just working with Captain Weirdo, like Captain Insano, that you've given me this Pinto that I've had to compete in the Grand Prix with, and I've done a pretty good job of modernizing this offense. It was kind of archaic, and I give them credit. Like, they did a pretty good job with utilizing McCarthy. Oh, and the freshman running back, 7. Yeah, Donovan Edwards, like moving some stuff around. I'm like, okay, they're being innovative as he can within the system that Jim Harbaugh is giving him. But I'm like, do they even care? Like, is it a dollar thing? Like, is 900? Is that we're not paying an assistant $1 million? All right, well, if that's the case, then you have to ask yourself, do we really still care about football? And that's the thing I'm left with today at Michigan. Both you had more momentum than you've had in 20 years. And both of your coordinators gone. And there might be other coaches that leave. And where are you getting a coach in mid-February? Nobody is any good, and not unless you're going to overpay him to get him to come there.
You're going to have to pay more than you were.
And you got a coach who Jim Harbaugh said he's coming back, or I'll never leave. I love it here.
It's a one-time thing.
If the Saints called him and said, "Hey Jim, you want the job? It's yours," he'd be on the flight.
Be on the plane.
He can tell you that, but he just wasn't offered one.
It's a reminder that in the offseason,
who's got it better than us?
The worst thing you can do is hear about your favorite team. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Because you think about the Auburn situation that was hinted on earlier, Brian Harsin and all the insanity going on down there, and now
tomfoolery.
I mean, it just seems like
shenanigans.
One of those situations where everyone knows Jim Harbaugh does not have the reputation as being the easiest guy to work for or work with, right? I mean, that seems pretty standard. It's pretty well known that he's been trying to leave Michigan for the last 4 years, and now all of a sudden he's done trying to leave Michigan. He's locked in forever.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. Good for them.
Sure, Jan.
But the Gaddis thing, I mean, I think it comes down to the fact that he had basically been told Mike Hart was probably going to be the internal hire.
That's the other piece of it.
And if that's the case, and if you watch the media, the Michigan media, there's a lot of people turning on Gaddis on their side now, and it's normal, I guess. People tend to do that. They go to bat.
I thought last week they wanted him to replace Jim.
They defend whatever the program is doing. I mean, Ohio State media market does the same thing. It's fine, normal. But certainly you wonder if Gaddis...
Josh Gaddis won the Broyles Award last year.
Yes, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, and that's the craziest part. Like, if you are the Broyles Award winner, that's your ticket to go anywhere you want.
Well, Miami is paying him more than Michigan was paying him.
But you can do better than Miami. That's why there's other things going on.
You're going to a rebuild.
You're going to live in Miami. You're getting paid over $1 million a year in a relatively low-pressure situation with the best athletes in the country in your backyard. It's not a bad situation.
Wait, are you trying to make a case that going from being the offensive coordinator at Michigan to Miami was a defensible move?
I'm saying if you are looking at college football and the big picture of college football, there are a few places in the country right now that the administration makes it harder on the staff than Michigan does. And I would imagine that other coaches are probably thinking, hey, how fast can I get out of here?
Well, and then part and parcel with that is, you looked at what Michigan State did last year with, first of all, you look at Michigan State paying Mel Tucker and the investment they're making, James Franklin, the same thing there. I mean, heck, you look at Purdue and there's a lot of Minnesota with Fleck. Like, a lot of these places, they have all this money and, we need to invest it.
Spend it. Yeah.
We have to spend it now. And because if not, we're going to be left. And, look at Minnesota, I'm like, okay, it's paid dividends. We invest a little bit, we're relevant, and that's important for us, and it's going to obviously drive everything else. But the fact that transfer portal, that apparently Michigan is resistant to that.
Hard to get guys in.
Well, they don't
credits and whatnot.
The credits, they don't want to transfer all the credits over and get guys we still, even though the NCAA is borderline obsolete, there still are rules about guys having to go to class and be. You haven't heard anything about eligibility because I think they just make it up anyway. But
they just don't want to talk about that because they don't want people to know the dirty secrets.
But that's a real deal. We're not going to accept it. We're Michigan. All right, well, I mean, there's other great academic institutions that are taking guys out of the portal. I'm not saying
they took a lot of quarterbacks out of that portal.
Yeah,
by the way, but
and then also the NIL situation where there's reports where the athletic department doesn't really want to fully embrace, and maybe it's not even the athletic department; it's the university at large saying.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's the athletic department. I think it's the administration of the university that has a different view of what Michigan is supposed to be about. And I mean, we've talked about this with Jim Harbaugh for a couple of years. I mean, the entire 2020 season, all the COVID stuff, the way that the Mark Schlissel, the then president, was handling that. I mean, there was a serious divide.
Oh yeah,
in that program at that time. And we don't, obviously have all the insight into it, but you can see that it's been a little bit fractured up there for a while. I mean, Harbaugh was forced to take half of his salary and basically give it to a new coaching staff, and now those coaches are trying to leave.
But and that's all part of this conversation about how much commitment they have to it. And if the head coach isn't even committed to that, and he's an alum of this program,
I think that goes to tell you what
National Signing Day. He went and interviewed for a new job.
He's also the coach that 10 years ago said he'd never coach at Michigan because they weren't committed to being Michigan man or whatever. I mean, you're kind of reaping what you sow in that instance.
And it may have been a self-fulfilling prophecy on that. I don't know. But 20 years, I don't feel like this was the case with Lloyd Carr, with Bo Schembechler prior to this. I mean, yeah, you can have good academics, but you can also still really care about athletics and about football, and to make sure that, hey, realizing that that's a massive economic driver and branding tool for your school, and understanding that. And it's kind of disheartening to think that if that's the case, that they're just willing to live in obscurity. It's all right, I mean, in capitalism, you vote with your time and your dollars of what you think is important. And frankly, when your head coach is out there interviewing for other jobs, you're not investing the time and saying, hey, we might want to get another coach. Jim, you're out. Gaddis, whoever it is, this isn't okay. And then you're not willing to invest the money into not the facilities. Our facilities are good, and they've got a great stadium and all this, but invest into the assistant coaches. Invest into, hey, the NIL situation, whatever it is, the rules. You may not like the rules, but they've changed, and as long as you're still operating within them, you should try to maximize your opportunities under those current guidelines.
I think Michigan wound up hiring another former alum, another Mike Hart type situation to try to
Braylon Edwards.
I mean, there's guys out there, I'm sure, that are being talked about that could be conversation drivers to try to change the narrative.
Braylon Edwards loves to drive the conversation.
But
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting because the reality is you have to want to work for the coach that you work for. And a lot of these guys, I just think, spend time up there and realize that maybe Jim Harbaugh is.
Well, you don't ever get to.
different.
They could never have Roosters catered in because they don't eat chicken in the facility. Okay, and so that's a serious hurdle for some people. They enjoy to eat,
But they get to go to Europe.
I like
ball.
Braylon, by the way. That was a low blow.
Jay-Z, I mean, the part of this, like, obviously Michigan won the game this year. We're not rewriting any of that, but this conversation is about how dramatically they've squandered the momentum they had, not just because of how flat they fell in the playoff, but that's a separate matter. Their roster's still not where it needs to be to consistently beat Ohio State and the best teams in the country. I don't think that anybody truly disagrees with that part. Mm-hmm. And Jim Harbaugh clearly must as well because he doesn't want to be part of that moving forward. And he said he
does. He want to be part.
Well, now he does.
Well,
yeah.
after he didn't.
As long as you'll have me.
Yeah.
As long as you'll have me.
Well, I'm going to disagree. I think Michigan's roster is a lot better than people give it credit for being. I think
they've had the 8th-ranked recruiting class in the country.
They're consistently a top 10 class. They have stars in J.J. McCarthy and Donovan Edwards on the.
They've always had stars ever since he's been there, though.
They've got guys, but I think the issue is that sometimes because of Harbaugh's antics, a lot of this stuff just kind of gets pushed to the wayside, and you don't have a chance to really develop the program to where guys can have a chance to succeed because everyone's talking about
that's the momentum part that I'm getting to here is that he squandered all of that. If you did finally beat Ohio State, get over the hump, you did finally get to the playoff, and you have all of this excitement, and he said it himself. Jim Harbaugh said in November in his celebratory press conference where he wanted to take all the shots in his victory lap, this feels like the beginning.
For someone else.
Are you kidding me?
Setting this up for somebody.
So if that's the way look, he can say whatever he wants. His actions certainly speak louder. The fact that his coaches don't want to stay with him or that they had to go fend for themselves the way that Josh Gaddis obviously felt like he had to last week. You're looking in the middle of February for a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator.
They've been better off if they lost the Ohio State game and then had to fire people like Ohio State did. Because now we're sitting here on National Signing Day saying, hey, here are our new coaches. Right. Instead of them who are saying, we just lost our offensive coordinator, who was the best assistant coach in the country last year.
Where you're not finding great coaches in the middle of February.
You know what's going to happen. Mike Hart's going to come up and be the OC, and then they're going to fill that spot. And
this is the conversation. Now, you're talking about Michigan and being that much better of a job than Miami. Other coaches will want to leave for that if they think that Michigan is a better job. There are guys rising in the NFL, guys like Cato June, younger guys who are former Michigan guys who are developing as really good coaches. There are guys who will take that opportunity just to go back and be a part of what Michigan is building. But the question is, do they stay there long?
Well, you get there, it's your dream job. And even with Jim Harbaugh, then you realize, like, they're not really doing me any favors.
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're a coach like you're talking about, you're going to say, well, they're not paying their assistant coaches. I mean, this guy left to go to Miami who's on a rebuild, getting more money to go down there. I don't want to be a head coach. I'm not going to be able to bring the guys I want in. I mean, they're going to leave right away.
You should be able to compare Ohio State and Michigan, remove the names at the top for rosters, for recruiting, for coaching salaries, for all these things. And throughout, like, the annals of history, those things were probably fairly similar.
Yeah. You wouldn't know which team you're looking at.
And I feel like you should be able to do that now. It's like, hey, well, our coordinator makes this. One guy's making almost 2. One guy isn't even making 1. Okay, like, all right. But then you start looking around, and it's like just consistently lower. And like, well, what 2 Big Ten teams are this? All right, well, you think on the higher side with the better recruiting, it's got to be Ohio State or Michigan. Maybe the other schools, Purdue or whoever it is. Like, those 2 schools have always driven the bus when it comes to success and expectations. And it seems like that is just kind of drifted away, even despite the recent success that they had.
We had this conversation, and Berm's right. I mean, they're not untalented. Last year, they were very able to stand toe-to-toe and win a game. There were some other things that went their way, but they won. The gap still between the number of 4- and 5-star players on Ohio State's roster to Michigan's is still pretty wide.
Yes.
And that's significant. But we had this question during the winning streak, which was like, well, is Michigan going to actually take this seriously, take the rivalry seriously? How can they get back on the national landscape? Is the commitment there to do that? Mm-hmm. And you thought, well, here maybe it is, because they made good hires last year. They made a savvy move to cut Harbaugh's salary, which maybe wound up backfiring them. But there was a really strong case to be made to fire Jim Harbaugh at that point because of all the other things that even we're talking about now. Wanting to be in the NFL, not being a great recruiter, a super weird dude, forcing them to do things behind the scenes that are uncomfortable for the administration. All of that stuff is true, and now you have them telling the world that. If Birmingham and I sit here and say he's been doing this for the last 3 years, trying to leave, it's okay to dismiss that because he didn't go publicly take an interview. Mm-hmm. That's a fact, but you don't have to believe it if you don't want to. But now there's no disputing it. He did this in public. In Michigan, and Ward Manuel and anybody else there have to just sit there and say, gosh, I'm so glad that Jim came.
They got to act like they're happy he stayed, right?
Michigan, yeah. Michigan was elated that Jim Harbaugh came back. Well, that's a problem because you're being publicly embarrassed. And
you should have said you did this on National Signing Day. You're out. We're going to fill this spot with somebody else.
That's the part I can't believe because they're truly not committed to getting everyone from top to bottom on board with winning a national championship and beating Ohio State consistently if that's what they're willing to accept. And I can't really get past that.
I'm thinking as you're talking, if Ryan Day would have done. It's a National Signing Day. There would have been people outside of the Woody with sign. They would not let him back in the Woody. Right. You're not going to be our coach now.
There were a lot of
get out of here
Michigan fans who took that approach.
I'm
sure. Last couple of weeks, they said, "We're tired of this. This can go away." But at the end of the day,
well, it's February and you need a head coach.
At the end of the day, the next day, the Michigan Twitter account is posting a picture of Harbaugh asking who's got it better than us, and this is now
just asking to get dunked.
This is now what they have to. This is
it's their bed.
This is the way. So now you go this way, and this is your guy. He's going to go out there and see if he can recreate magic, right? Magic juice.
33 coaches during his tenure there.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I think that's the accurate number.
7 years.
It's pretty impressive. That's
is that the word for it?
Something.
At least you can work with a lot of different kind of people.
Everyone in the Michigan program, everyone in the Big Ten understands that had they played Ohio State in 2020, Michigan would have been beaten very badly, and Jim Harbaugh would have been fired. And it's just this situation now where I think he's realized that he has some control again, or some sort of leverage in the situation, and that's what I said on the radio show with you last week. I couldn't believe that Michigan was allowing him to do this publicly and embarrass him. Because that, to me, when you talk about the administration of Michigan, what you think of them and what they think of themselves, the fact that they allowed him to do that to them publicly the way he did, it was out. This is the moment in Michigan football history when you should be talking about we're back. And instead, your head coach, your assistant coaches are all like, how can we leave?
Well, I think
it's like you got a top 10 class.
I think that speaks to the administration on a broader level, not the AD and whatever, but their care about what's happening. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not embarrassing because it's not.
Yeah.
They don't really.
They just don't even care.
If you care about something.
Yeah, like
we hope he comes back. If not, whatever.
It's nice that he does this stuff. But we don't really care. It doesn't matter. It's great that these things happen in a positive way, but it's not. It's not embarrassing because it's not something that I care about.
That would make more sense.
That's the most damning part about it.
And that's that's the most.
That's the saddest part about it. Because they're the ones that could help you make your program better. Hey, we're going to give you more money to spend on better coaches, on this or that. And it just doesn't seem like that's in their thought process.
It's just all that talk. It's the beginning and standing on third.
We're going to move onward with humble hearts.
All those things, just like
it's insane.
I don't know how you're supposed to take him seriously. I really don't.
What were you ever supposed to take him seriously?
Isn't the offseason?
How do his kids take him serious? Because the portal is right there. Is there a time where you can't jump into the portal?
He's had 33 coaches in the last 7 years, but Jay's the only one that hasn't left. So I guess maybe his
family must like him.
Yeah. Which, hey, good for him. My family doesn't always like me.
That is
Amen.
important. You got to have that.
You do.
I don't know.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
We talked a lot about a lot of stuff today that wasn't Ohio State football. Are people going to be mad? Leave your comments below if you're mad.
Maybe. But
people are loving the
talking about Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah, it's the misery that's going on up there.
That's the large portion of the show. I think people want to dive into that because there's a countdown, I believe, going on until late November when whoever's on the staff has to come down here. And you just know, well, I know for sure how badly Ryan Day wanted Jim Harbaugh to stay there.
So I'm sure.
To catch the beating that he feels like he's owed.
Now, are they going to be what have you done to beat Ohio every day up in Michigan now, or is it kind of just...
Well, it's too late for that. I mean,
I guess
he was trying to get ready to
He was trying to leave, yeah.
How to stop it.
How do you win the NFC North?
Said A-Rod might be leaving. I'm getting up here into the North.
Anyway, that was fun. As Berm said, we didn't maybe talk a lot about Ohio State. We have plenty of time to do that the rest of the year. We're actually going to be later in the week, a first Monday post-Super Bowl. Some of us are going to be on the road, so we're going to push that back next week just to plan your week around Letterman Live. It won't be on Monday next week, but we will be back. We promise, as we always will. Come get some mozzarella sticks on Tuesday at Roosters. $2 appetizer Tuesday. Get that Super Bowl special for Sunday. Go Bengals. That's Jay-Z, Bobby Carpenter, Berm. I'm Austin Ward. We will see you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl.